This thought-provoking video delves into the shifting understanding of masculinity over hundreds of years, challenging conventional narratives and igniting controversial discussions. By critically examining historical contexts and contrasting them with contemporary perspectives, this analysis explores the subversive aspects of gender roles over time, exposing hidden truths and uncovering controversial concepts that will surely captivate.
Masculinity, as a social construct, has undergone significant changes throughout history. The understanding of what it means to be masculine has been shaped by various factors, including cultural, economic, and ideological influences. We should gain insights into the fluidity of gender roles and the need for more inclusive and nuanced discussion surrounding masculinity. In the 1500s, society was deeply hierarchical, and social status played a significant role in defining masculinity. Nobility, wealth, and power were closely associated with masculine identity, reinforcing strict expectations of behavior and appearance among men. The ability to assert control, engage in warfare, and maintain dominance were considered essential qualities of a man. The prevailing ideals of masculinity of the times emphasized physical strength, courage, and honor. Men were expected to display assertiveness, aggression, and self-restraint, with emotional vulnerability often discouraged. These ideals were reinforced through literature, art, and religious teachings, perpetuating a narrow definition of masculinity. They were characterized by patriarchal structures, with men occupying positions of authority and power. Masculinity was closely linked to dominance, control, and the ability to provide for one's family. Women were largely excluded from positions of influence, reinforcing traditional gender roles and the male-dominated social order. Lusty lords and virile voyeurs, sexual dominance and male privilege. In the 1500s, the understanding of masculinity was intertwined with sexual dominance and male privilege. The social structures of the time upheld the belief that men were entitled to assert their sexual prowess and exert control over women's bodies. The prevailing image of masculinity was that of the lusty lord, who reveled in his sexual conquests and indulged in his desires without reproach. Men of high social status and wealth were often the primary beneficiaries of this sexual dominance. They wielded their power and privilege to engage in extramarital affairs, maintain mistresses, and participate in the world of courtly love. These aristocratic men were often surrounded by a society that turned a blind eye to their sexual escapades, further reinforcing their perception of entitlement and reinforcing gender inequality. Additionally, voyeurism played a significant role in the masculine identity of the 1500s. Men were encouraged to partake in the objectification of women's bodies, relishing in the pleasure of watching and asserting their dominance through the act of observing. Women were often reduced to objects of male desire, existing primarily for the male gaze, which further reinforced the power dynamics rooted in gender inequality. Literature and art of the period often celebrated the lusty lord archetype, portraying men as conquerors and women as passive objects of desire. Works like Giovanni Boccaccio's Decameron, or Pietro Aretino's erotic writings exemplify the glorification of male sexual dominance and the perpetuation of male privilege. It is important to note that this depiction of masculinity was not representative of all men during the 1500s. The experiences and expressions of masculinity varied depending on social class, geographic location, and cultural context. Men from lower social strata often faced different challenges and expectations, and their experiences may have differed significantly from those of the aristocratic class. This understanding of masculinity in the 1500s sheds light on the historical roots of gender inequality and the privilege that certain men enjoyed. It provides a stark contrast to the contemporary movements striving for gender equality and challenging the notion of male entitlement. By examining the historical context, we can better understand the long-standing power dynamics and work towards creating a more equitable and inclusive society for all genders. Queer masculinities, from brojobs to bromances. Within the realm of masculinity, queer identities and expressions have challenged traditional norms, offering alternative narratives that broaden our understanding of gender and sexuality. Queer masculinities encompass a diverse range of experiences, highlighting the complexity and fluidity of gender and sexual identity. One aspect of queer masculinities that has gained attention is the concept of brojobs. This term refers to sexual encounters between men who may not identify as gay or bisexual but engage in intimate acts with one another. These encounters challenge the traditional boundaries of heterosexuality and complicate the notion of masculinity as strictly tied to sexual orientation. They highlight the fluid nature of human desire and the complexities of navigating sexual experiences beyond traditional labels. Furthermore, the emergence of bromances has also contributed to the evolving landscape of queer masculinities. Bromances refer to close, emotionally intimate relationships between men that may resemble traditional romantic partnerships, but without a sexual component. These relationships challenge the stereotype that emotional vulnerability and deep connections are exclusively reserved for heterosexual or romantic relationships. They demonstrate that men can cultivate and celebrate emotional bonds without it diminishing their masculinity or sexual orientation. Queer masculinities have been explored in various cultural and artistic representations. Films like Moonlight and Call Me by Your Name depict complex queer male characters, challenging societal expectations and shedding light on the diverse experiences within the queer community. Through these portrayals, audiences are invited to question and expand their own understanding of masculinity, breaking away from rigid definitions and embracing the complexities of human desire and connection. It is essential to note that queer masculinities are not limited to these examples and exist along a spectrum of identities and expressions. Queer individuals, regardless of gender, may navigate their own unique journeys, exploring and embracing different aspects of masculinity and their own authentic selves. The recognition and celebration of queer masculinities contribute to a more inclusive understanding of gender and sexuality. By challenging societal norms and expectations, queer individuals and their allies inspire conversations that dismantle stereotypes, foster empathy, and promote acceptance for all expressions of gender and sexuality. It is important to approach the discussion of queer masculinities with respect, acknowledging the diversity of experiences within the queer community and the ongoing challenges they face in a society that often marginalizes non-conforming identities. By engaging in open and informed conversations, we can foster a more inclusive and understanding society that values the intricacies and beauty of all gender expressions. Intersectionality, masculinity in a diverse world. The concept of intersectionality highlights the interplay between different social identities, such as race, ethnicity, class, sexuality, and gender, and how they shape an individual's experiences within society. When examining masculinity through an intersectional lens, it becomes apparent that there is no singular, monolithic experience of being a man. Instead, masculinity is influenced by a complex interweaving of various intersecting identities. Race and ethnicity, in particular, significantly influence the experiences and expressions of masculinity. Men of different racial and ethnic backgrounds face distinct challenges and expectations that intersect with their gender identity. For example, black men may confront stereotypes that label them as hypermasculine or threatening, leading to the policing of their bodies and limiting their freedom to express vulnerability or emotions. Asian men, on the other hand, may grapple with stereotypes that emasculate them, perpetuating the notion that they are less masculine or sexually undesirable. These examples illustrate how racial and ethnic dynamics shape and complicate the construction of masculinity. Socioeconomic status also intersects with masculinity, as it impacts access to resources, opportunities, and societal power structures. Men from disadvantaged backgrounds may face unique challenges in conforming to traditional masculine ideals, as financial constraints or limited access to education can affect their ability to embody societal expectations of success and provider roles. The intersections of class and masculinity challenge the notion that all men have equal access to privilege and reinforce the importance of considering diverse experiences within discussions of masculinity. Sexual orientation is another crucial aspect of intersectionality that influences the understanding of masculinity. Gay, bisexual, and queer men often navigate a distinct path within masculinity, as they confront societal prejudices that stigmatize non-heteronormative expressions of gender and desire. Their experiences challenge traditional notions of masculinity, as they resist and redefine societal expectations, creating alternative models of manhood that celebrate diversity and authentic self-expression. Understanding masculinity through an intersectional lens requires recognizing the complexity of identity and acknowledging the ways in which different social categories intersect and shape individual experiences. It invites us to challenge oversimplified narratives and strive for a more inclusive understanding of masculinity that encompasses the diverse realities faced by individuals with multiple marginalized identities. By engaging in intersectional perspectives, we can dismantle hierarchies of power and privilege that perpetuate inequality. It calls for amplifying the voices and experiences of marginalized men, acknowledging their struggles, and working towards a more just and inclusive society that embraces the multiplicity of masculinities and affirms the dignity of all individuals, regardless of their intersecting identities. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history and exploration of the evolving idea of masculinity. Please like, share, and subscribe for more informative content, and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care.